Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Amaazen Outdoors. This podcast is being presented by Upland Outfitters, home of the Relentless pants, man. Those things are awesome. I had them out this week, and pretty much since I started the partnership with Jason, have been wearing those pants out anytime over the summer here where I had to do any work at the farm or dog training. I've even had them on the boat a little bit. They are tough as nails. I have yet to see a pull 'em thread. I've been in some nasty briars. They really held up a lot better than I thought. I can't recommend them enough. Hunting season is around the corner. Make sure you use discount code Amaazen, and I believe Jason is still offering 20% off on the Relentless pants. So pick up a pair before hunting season is upon us, and you're out in the woods with a ripped up pair of pants and sweating, unnecessarily, because Jason's pants and the Relentless pants are top notch and breathable, light. So you're going to want them this early season. Make sure you get them now. I also have a quick announcement. We've got another kind of temporary partnership with Chippewa River Custom Rods. Tom is going to be offering 10% off with disc for you guys as well coming up. But I wanted to get into really what this was all about. And, the Amaazen Outdoors podcast mission is to advocate, I've had a beer or two, so I'm going to actually screw up a little bit here and just bear with me. But the Amaazen Outdoors podcast's mission is to advocate for conservation and hunting rights for the future of all hunters. Now, that sounds pretty generic, but we kind of envision using digital media to secure hunting privileges for all hunters in the future, now, and for years to come. The thought, through organic conversation with friends and hunting and fishing professionals, we desire to inspire. We want you to try something new and to, work with us to expand all of your hunting and fishing opportunities. So that's a lot packaged in there, and I hope that you guys all get to understand where all of this is going over the next few episodes here as we launch some things. So I've got a few interviews done already, not as many as I would like, but at some point you just have to hit the go button. So that's kind of the title for today's episode, is just go for it. So we are hitting the go button and we are going for it. I sit down, going to be probably the first episode that I would consider episode true 1. This is kind of the prelim, episode point maybe 5, beta test, whatever you want to call it. But I sit down with a good friend of mine, Eric. For reasons being, I'm going to leave him a little bit anonymity because he's a close personal friend of mine. But we talk about a day of pheasant hunting that he had not been exposed to ever, not like we had, which was very unique to have such a good pheasant hunting day on what I would consider the tail end of the Minnesota hunting season. So that's all. I'll leave that with you for there. After that, I've got an interview coming up with probably my best hunting friend, the guy I spend the most time in the woods with, guy I go to Kansas with, hunt up his cabin all fall for grouse and woodcock, and probably one of the guys that has inspired me and taught me the most about hunting pointing dogs and grouse and woodcock here in the upper Midwest. So we're going to sit down with Jeff, talk a little bit about who we are and who he is, and I've got a conversation lined up with somebody from the Rough Grouse Society. So that's kind of in the short term here. We've got a lot of different adventures coming up, that are going to be around new life experiences for us. We have lived in the Twin Cities metro area for the last 10 years, and we finally found the right piece of property and are building our northern command post slash studio slash shop slash home front, little homestead, dog kennel. I don't know what you want to all call it, but we're headed that way, and we've got at least the foundation started. In addition, we are trying to book a bunch of well, not a bunch, actually. I would prefer to take on a few select customers this fall. In the guide business, I want to give people an outstanding experience, and I can't do that if I'm spread too thin. Something else we're teetering with the idea right now of maybe, depending on how many listeners we get and how many Patreons or subscribers or supporters of the podcast, and some of the other things we got going on, I might be giving away a float trip or two down the St. Croix River for some muskies. It's a little bit of a hobby slash addiction that I got into a few years ago, and would like to share that with some people that are listening to this podcast as kind of a thank you. So we do have a couple sponsors in the work with some pretty good gear. One of them I approached personally on my own time because of how I was impressed with their business. I was hoping to have all that buttoned up to launch today, but at some point you just have to go for it, and hopefully they'll be on board here soon. I've got another outdoor products company that has a very unique product for ice fishing, for trapping, and for just kind of monitoring your property and such. They look like they're coming on board, and I'm looking for additional sponsors. So if you know somebody in the outdoor industry that's looking to do some advertising different than what they're traditionally used to in advertising, have them reach out to me. My contact information will be at the end of the podcast. So this spring's busy. I want to do some kind of shorter, maybe fill-in episodes where maybe I'm just talking. I do really want to have that organic conversation with people. I do feel that's probably the most value. But with that being said, I've got a lot going on, and I can't always get, at least from what I see, my vision right now, with all the things I'm juggling, I don't know that I can get a guest for you guys to sit down and talk for an hour. So rather than that, I'd rather fill you in on what we're doing and some of the things we're learning along the way doing some of these fun and crazy things that we're trying to do. So this spring we've got a turkey hunt lined up already. Get the tag for, not me personally, my uncle. I'm probably going to buy a leftover tag for Wisconsin. So we're also looking to finally, after a few years absence, getting on some of Wisconsin's and maybe southeastern Minnesota's beautiful trout streams. I used to do a lot of fly fishing for trout and got into a bunch of other stuff and just haven't had the time to do it. So hoping to kind of do maybe a little bug update here mid spring. Right now we've been out the last couple days trying to look for some woodcock. The timberdoodles should be coming north here, and it gives you some awesome opportunities to do some training with your young dogs or old dogs, or well, you just leave the gun at home, so you're not worried about hunting, and you're just worried about finding the bird and having the dog work the bird. So some unique things. Hopefully have some updates here shortly. That's probably going to be one of the first things that we kind of update on when they finally arrive. We'll be sharing some stuff on social media as well, maybe doing a little live stream as we go out and hopefully bump a few woodcock and get to see my dogs work a few birds. We've got some summer fun, just random barbecue and friends get-togethers that we might bust the podcast out at. We're going to be doing some dog training tips for stuff to do in the off-season. Possibly looking at getting a stud for, I got two German short-haired pointers, two girls, and they're both spayed. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of my beer here. The girls are spayed, can't really do anything with the line anymore. The breeder of these two female dogs I have is winding his kennel down, and I really want to extend the line. It's a fun thing to think about, and I don't want to lose out on the opportunity of potentially getting a dog from him. So not sure when that's going to happen. The wife doesn't really know. I've been soft playing the idea yet, so if she sneaks down here and hears me, she's going to probably have a fit. I'll have to do some editing. So that's kind of spring and summer. That's a laundry list of things already going on, and we haven't even approached the fall yet. So my initial thought on this fall was really trying to focus 100% on my dogs. I've grown up over the years doing a lot of deer hunting and got into elk hunting a little bit over the last couple of years, but running behind my pointing dogs and the nostalgia of carrying a side-by-side shotgun and having a gentleman's hunt in the afternoon is just something that's really, really, really taken on to me, and I can't get rid of it. So it's all I think about, and as we do some of these other things, a lot of what we do is going to be focused around some of the dogs, because we're a dog family, and it's just when you have two German short-haired pointers, there's nothing else in life but your dogs, it seems like some days. So anyways, this fall we had originally tried, we're planning on trying to do some sage grouse hunting. I've never done it. I want to go out to Montana. I really, really, really fell in love with quail hunting over the last few years in Kansas, and the sage grouse overlaps with an early season in Montana, I believe, for Hungarian partridge, which I hear is just an absolute ball. I've ran across a few coveys of huns in North Dakota a few times, but never really had an opportunity to hunt what I would consider some of the best Hungarian partridge country in North America here, from what I hear. And then, you throw in, the sharptails as well is really probably what we'll target, and then the huns will be a bonus. But I really wanted to go to Montana here and just kind of spend time in a tent with the dogs in September and do an extended trip. But Wisconsin threw me a bone this fall. I drew a bear tag after 5 years of applying, and it's I took on a couple bear hunters last fall. Pressured a guy I knew, and his son and him put in for tags, and I kind of loosely guided them, off the books, I guess you could say. I leased some land, and I baited for them and had them come up, and I set up a great hunt for them. We got one bear. The other guy passed on a couple bears because he was looking for something bigger, and we just didn't have that happen for him. But I drew my tag this year, and after seeing really what was out in the woods last year with all the bears, I kind of decided that I at least got to fill the tag. It takes 5 years or so in the zone I'm in, and it's throwing a wrench in my Montana plans, but we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to bear hunting, and it's an opportunity I don't get much. And in Wisconsin, you get very few opportunities in a lifetime to do, so I have to take advantage of it. But I will tell you that every minute that I sit in that tree stand waiting for the bear to come to the bait site, I will be thinking about my dogs, because it's going to overlap probably the opener of the woodcock season in Wisconsin, and I think Minnesota too this year. So it'll be interesting. That first couple weeks of the season is going to be quite busy. Then we're going to kind of throw ourselves into grouse and woodcock in Minnesota and Wisconsin. We will put in for a tag this fall for Colorado rifle season, but I was just informed that I have a new niece or nephew on the way that's due in September, and my brother is not archery hunting for Colorado this year, which is what I would prefer to do. So I think I might just take the preference point. But sorry, Mark, podcast is probably going to be released before the draw, so a little pre-warning. But we'll see what happens come October at rifle season in Colorado for first season elk falls in a very tough spot. I don't want to leave the grouse woods at that point. And I'm hoping to have a number of clients to fill those weekends, so it's not even an option and I have to take the preference point. But so October will be all about grouse and woodcock. I may sneak in a November bow hunt. I usually sit in a tree stand from Halloween until about the 5th of November is about all I can take it. And then I shoot about the best buck I see. But the fall is stacking up pretty busy, and it'll be a very limited deer hunt with the bow this year for me. Then we're kind of hoping out to, tag a buck and ride out the rest of the grouse season through November until the Wisconsin rifle season opens, and then my dogs won't hit the ground in Wisconsin unless we have a really, really warm December. My wife, again, doesn't know some of this stuff, but she'd have a fit if I'm saying it right now, so I'm being a little quiet. But she knows, and she can't take it anymore either. And we need a warmer climate. We're done with the winter. I've really grown on Kansas. I love the big wide open vastness of the prairie. Love the bobwhite quail covey rise. It's probably one of the things I think about the most every day. But I'm not going to go through another winter in the snow with 2 or 3 pointing dogs. Even though we have the farm coming up and we'll have more space. Bird hunting kind of ends here in the end of December. Wisconsin used to have a grouse season that went to the end of January, and if you had good weather, it was kind of worth going out a little bit, but it's still tough hunting. I want to migrate south in the wintertime. So Kansas is definitely on the table. Their pheasant quail season goes to the end of January. That buys me a lot more time than I have up here. But I keep hearing all these things about desert birds and these Gambel's quail and the Merm's quail and the scaled quail. It's something I just have a big, I don't know if to call it an angel or a devil on my shoulder, but it just says go. Give it a shot, go for it, go for it, go for it. So we'll see what happens. We may end up living on a trailer or tent for a little while and hopefully try to extend our bird season into good part of February. And then, after that, we kind of head back up north and start the gig all over again. So hoping to maybe have a new pup in the mix by then. So, this is going to be a fun ride. We'd really like to bring some content to you all, to all the listeners that we find valuable. Myself, you, possibly a few advertisers, sponsors. We can't do this for free forever, but I'm not going to try to compromise my show and my listeners by sponsors. So, I really want to make this show about you, the listener. And I ask it after this, I'm going to leave my contact information on live here for you all to listen, write it down, reach out. I'd be happy to take some criticism, things from what you heard here. Maybe you want to hear some more detail about. I would love to engage with you. If you have some knowledge or something you'd like to pass on to the community here, and there's an opportunity that you and I can sit down and record something like a small episode, reach out. I'm all ears at this point. I'm looking to try to get out about an hour to 2 hours max, no more than that. I'm trying to keep these things to an hour, but I tend to talk way too much, and I'm already at 20 minutes here, and I'm just rambling. So, Going to try to do about 2 to 3 episodes a month. If we can get into the swing of things, I'd like to try to get to a weekly episode. But until then, I'm hoping to get out little kind of mini episodes on smaller niche topics in between the kind of 2 to 3 month episode kind of window. So again, if you have a unique hunting opportunity, oh yeah, I forgot to mention too, we got spring coming up. I thought about doing the maple syrup thing this year, but I had too much on my plate. But one thing we will be doing here, and probably be sharing a little bit and doing some stuff on Instagram, morel hunting. I'm really, really looking forward, and I'm hoping we have a good weather season here as we head into spring. I can't wait to get those tasty morsels in my mouth. But anyway, so we have so many things that go on, so many different passions that we have, but it's all centered around getting outdoors. And I want to really, really, again, emphasize, I want to inspire other people to get out of their comfort zone, get out of that deer stand, go walk that property line, look for a grouse or a woodcock, get in a truck and drive a couple hours, go out to the Dakotas, go out to Montana. All these things that you have an opportunity to do today, they could be gone tomorrow if you don't take the opportunity and take the time and just take a chance and go try it. You never know. You may end up loving it. Like I never, 10 years ago, I never thought I'd have a dog. I just didn't. I was a deer hunter. I love deer hunting. I spent 40, 50 days a year sitting in a tree stand. And today I could not even comprehend living life that way. If I spent that much time in the tree stand, I wouldn't have 2 pointing dogs looking for a third. I spend that and more in the field watching those dogs in the fall. And I want to get it to 90, 120 days, but we all have to live within our boundaries and limitations. So I'm going to wrap this up here today with this. If you're looking to have a great time and put together a memorable hunting experience for you, maybe a family member, maybe you and your son, maybe you, your wife, maybe you, your wife and your daughter, son, maybe your whole family, contact me. I'm looking to put together the most memorable hunt you have chasing wild birds in the upper Midwest. So reach me at 920-277-5750. My name is Brian. Be happy to put together a custom hunt for you. You can do whatever you want. You tell me what you want to do. We'll try our best to put it together, and we're going to work tirelessly and tenaciously to get it done. I got some great dogs that never give up, and if it involves hunting, I'm up before the sun is up, and I go to bed after the sun's down, and I am 100% focused at it. So I want to work with you to build that memory. That is really what my goal is. I want to get your kids, your niece, your nephew, that next generation, I want to get them into the outdoors. And I know that you, maybe as a listener here, if you're stuck in this long with me, you probably have a passion for it. So let me help you exacerbate that passion and get your next of kin hooked on what we all love doing in the fall. This fall, it's really centered around grouse and woodcock, hopefully some quail and pheasant, and a little warmer climate. So contact me. I'll help you put together the best hunt possible, and we'll get my dogs to work for you. So if you're interested in sharing story, sharing some insight, sharing anything related to getting other people outdoors, reach out to me. You can reach out to me through email. That's probably the best for this form of reaching out. That is Brian, BRIAN, at Amaazen.com. That's Brian at Amaazen.com. And that Amaazen is it's AMAAZEN. So I'm going to wrap it up there, 25 minutes. Thank you so much for sticking with this podcast today as I mumble through and try to spit these words out. So we can kind of explain to you what we all have coming up. The next episode is going to be released here shortly, and check it out. It's a good interview. It's about Minnesota pheasant hunting and getting a friend out that hadn't been pheasant hunting in a while, and about what he enjoyed, and kind of a little bit more about what we have coming up this fall. Thank you so much. This is the Amaazen Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Amaazen Enterprises LLC, and your host, Brian Mays.